Without the Holocaust, World War II wouldn't have resulted in as many deaths. Hostility toward Jews was happening long before the Holocaust, even as far back as ancient days. Hitler was born in 1889. He served in the Germany World War I. He was in prison for treason. While in prison, he wrote a memoir and propaganda tract predicting the end of the European War, the extermination of the Jewish race in Germany. He blamed Jews for his country's defeat in 1918. In September 1939, the German army occupied the western half of Poland. German police started forcing tens of thousands of Polish Jews from their homes, placing them into ghettos, giving their confiscated properties to the ethnic Germans. Ghettos in Poland were marked off sections of the towns which the Nazis came up with. Germans usually marked off the oldest, most run-down sections of the cities for ghettos. They had to evict non-Jewish residents from the buildings to make room for Jewish families. Many of the ghettos were enclosed by barbed wire, fences, or walls, with entrance guarded by local and German police and SS members. During curfew hours at night, the residents were forced to stay inside their apartment. The ghetto was breeding ground for disease such as typhus. Conditions in Warsaw Ghetto were so bad that between 1940 and 1942, an estimated 100,000 Jews died of starvation and disease in the Warsaw Ghetto. Life in the ghettos were usually unbearable. Overcrowding, several families to apartment, plumbing broke, human waste as well as garbage was thrown in the streets, some starved. Germans would usually allow residents to buy small amounts of food so they would starve. Some Jews would trade things for food or smuggle it in. Some begged or stole. People began to get very weak from the lack of food and clothing, which exposed them to the cold. Tens of thousands died in the ghetto from illness, starvation, or cold. Every day, children became orphaned. Many had to take care of even younger children. Orphans often lived on the streets. Many froze to death. Small children in Warsaw Ghetto would sometimes help smuggle food to their families and friends by crawling through narrow openings in the ghetto walls. Smugglers caught were severely punished. Fall 1939, Nazi officials selected around 70,000 Germans institutionalized or mental illness or disabilities to be gassed to death in the so-called euthanasia program. Prominent German religious leaders protested in 1941 to end all handicap getting gassed. By 1945, 275,000 people deemed handicaps from all over Europe had been killed. Throughout the spring and summer of 1940, the German army expanded Hitler's empire in the Europe, conquering Denmark, Norway, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France. Jews from all over the continent, as well as hundreds of thousands of European gypsies, were transported to the Polish ghettos. The Germans began mass transports from the ghettos in Poland to the concentration camps, starting with those people viewed as the least useful, the sick, old, weak, and very young. Duckowitz was opened in May 1940. Gas vans were hermetically sealed trucks with engine exhaust diverted to the interior compartment. Use of gas vans began after the Einsatzgruppen members complained of battle fatigue and mental anguish caused by shooting large numbers of women and children. Einsatzgruppen mobile killing units gassed hundreds of thousands of people, mostly Jews, Roman gypsies, and mentally ill people. In 1941, the SS concluded that the deportation of Jews to killing centers to be gassed was the most efficient way of achieving the final solution. That same year, the Nazi opened the Kelmo camp in Poland. Jews from Lodz area of Poland and Roma were killed in mobile gas vans.
Systematic mass killing. In 1942, systematic mass killing in stationary gas chambers with carbon oxide gas generated by diesel engines began at Belzec, Sobir, and Treblanka, all in Poland. As victims were unloaded from cattle cars, they were told that they had to be disinfected in showers. Systematic mass killing. The Nazi and Urinam guards sometimes shouted at and beat the victims, who were ordered to enter the showers and raise their arms to allow as many people as possible to fit into the gas chambers. The tighter the gas chambers were packed, the faster victims suffocated.